Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Tim's News Explosion on this Monday, the 15th of May, 2023. We are live on YouTube on the Unshackled channel, the Tim Wilms D Live channel, and as always on the Wilms Front Odyssey channel. And of course, Entropy is live if you want to send through a direct question, or even better yet, send through a super chat to not just support this program, but all Unshackled productions. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in the world for yesterday. And it was good to see that there was no birthing a person's day or parent one day, because biology is making a comeback. And of all the humans that have been born throughout humanity, 100% of humans have been born from women, adult human females. It is 8:30 p.m. here in Melbourne, Victoria, where we will start, obviously, Saturday afternoon on Spring Street. We saw the Nazis versus Socialist shout off, which it was a snap protest by, it was organized by the National Socialist Network. They promoted it as a stop immigration rally. They published two posters. So one was a official National Socialist Network flyer, which they said that this is what the poster said: "We are organizing in opposition to the system's importation of 715,000 migrants over the next 2 years, further exacerbating the housing crisis and ethnic replacement of white Australians in their own suburbs and towns. This will be a peaceful and legal demonstration open to all supporters and bystanders who wish to have their voices heard. Living space for whites. Stop immigration." Then they released, it's the exact same text and formatting of the poster. So this was sort of for to try to promote it to some boomercons, even though it was organized by the National Socialist Network. So it says, "This event is open to all Australians who want to see an end to the housing crisis, lower wages, and rising crime caused by mass migration. Make your voices heard." And so this was posted on Telegram at around 7 a.m. on Friday. So just over 24 hours until it was scheduled to take place at midday on Saturday. So the Socialist Alternative Front Group, the Campaign Against Racism and Fascism, they organized promoted a snap counter protest: "Stop Nazis, not immigration," counter rally against the Nazi anti-immigration rally. And then there was also another poster that I saw floating around on Twitter amongst all the Antifa accounts. So it read, "Fuck off Nazis, no borders. Anti-fascist alert, counter-protest. Nazis have called a white supremacist anti-immigration rally. They're emboldened by small racist anti-trans wins. No thanks to cops and reactionary forces. Australia's border imperialism is racist violence. We need to mobilize in solidarity to counter not just them, but to fight for a world without state borders, for a world with Indigenous sovereignty and land back. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Go and leave with a friend group. Wear a mask for COVID safety. Don't talk to cops." And then they invited people to carry on at 1 p.m. at the State Library, as there was a Nakba rally commemorating what they said 75 years of resistance to, well, the state of Israel. Basically, it's a, what do they call it, free Palestine, that sort of thing there. Now, I couldn't believe that all of a sudden that the left is now, oh, we want no borders in the world, when they were completely silent and compliant when not only was Australia's international borders shut during COVID, but also state borders. I mean, the hypocrisy here, I guess if the government says that people from overseas, they might carry diseases, that's apparently not racist, that's pro-health. Remember, they held these same Socialist Alternative front groups, they had pro-health rallies to counter the freedom rallies. And the most staggering, because the Antifa groups, they tried to claim that Peter Dutton was dog whistling to NSN and white supremacists in his budget reply speech, questioning this mass migration intake. He said, where are all these people going to live? This is the biggest mass migration in Australia's history. And so apparently that was a racist dog whistle by Peter Dutton there, which, and I'll just bring up this this tweet from Monique Ryan. Remember, she's the COVID Karen. She didn't say that at the beginning of the year that she wanted borders reshut, but she wanted foreigners tested for COVID. So it's okay if you stick something up the nose and the throat of incoming foreigners. That's apparently not racist because it's health. This is what she tweeted. Peter Dutton's attack on migration isn't about housing, it's about migrants. He clearly sees a political win in making them an enemy. It's heartbreaking politics that insults the wonderful migrants who helped create modern Australia and who well and truly are Australian. It was heartbreaking that you wanted to bring back some of the most onerous COVID restrictions, which you didn't mention in your election campaign for the seat of Kooyong. Linda Hunter says tuberculosis and all sorts is being, well, there is an outbreak of tuberculosis overseas because of the COVID fixation. There's outbreak of tuberculosis, and of course in our own backyard, the triple-demic of COVID, flu, and RSV. But back on to the Saturday rally. Now, I just published the Unshacked's highlights from, or should I say compilation from the day. I shouldn't say the word highlights because it was quite, I refer to it as a shout off. I mean, obviously the National Socialist Network, Thomas Sewell is their main spokesman. He's not officially the leader though. And this is some of what I just skimmed through this. You can see our full compilation on the Unshackled's various channels on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, and BitChute. That was the poster the NSN had, living space for rights, migration. So we'll fast forward here.
makes me more sick than the sight of those human scum over there. It's that title, National Socialist, it's that slogan, living space, that sent 6 million Jews to the gas chambers.
The Liberal Party and the Labor Party pushed the mass migration of non-whites into Australia. The Liberal Party pushes brown Australia. Australia is either white or brown. Everything else isn't in between. It's all limited in time. Either we defend white Australia or we lose white Australia. There is no in between. We want a brown future, an African future, an Arab future, or a white future. White Australians are surrounded on all sides. There is 5 million non-whites and only 20 million white people. And we are being flooded by hundreds of thousands every year by the traitors and governments, and it is financed by Jewish billionaires. It is financed by Wall Street, and these people that are broken are the foot soldiers of Jewish finance. They are the foot soldiers of international capitalism. And we stand as proud white men, the sons of our ancestors.
I reasonably believe that those of you with face coverings are doing so to conceal your identity for the purposes of preventing crowd control. I now issue you a direction to remove your face coverings and leave the area, or you will be arrested. Those of you who do not conceal your face coverings will be arrested.
Yes, so face covering masks are bad again. Now, the entire CBD and including Treasury Gardens Victoria Police declared the area a designated area, which they can stop and search anyone and any car, and also can request people remove their face coverings. Now, you might remember back in the freedom protests here in Melbourne in 2020, 2021, Victoria Police were actually forcing face coverings on people they arrested. You were arrested for not covering your face, and when Victoria Police arrested you, they forced a muzzle on your face. And so now masks are bad. So you saw that this was just before 12 o'clock. Victoria Police made the operational decision to issue a move-on order to National Socialist Network. Now, their getaway was short-lived because the some Antifa activists had slashed their tires, so they were stranded in Fitzroy Gardens, which is not in the designated area. It's this area on the far right here. So they were basically moseying there, and Victoria Police had to be with them to keep the peace. Now, as you saw in the unshackled footage, that wasn't on the Parliament steps. Because both groups, National Socialist Network and the Socialist Alternative, they all arrived early, so they could basically claim the steps for themselves. Though Victoria Police literally pushed them north, including with capsicum spray off the steps. Clearly, didn't want them to be on the steps of Parliament doing a Nazi salute like during the Let Women Speak rally. After that, you remember the Andrews Labor government, with the support of the Liberal opposition, announced plans to ban the Nazi salute. Devere Abramovich, the next day after this Stop Immigration rally, he was on every news broadcast demanding that the Nazi salute ban be fast-tracked. He said that Melbourne is the neo-Nazi capital of Australia. Now, the reason why, I believe that we have both extremes on the streets of Melbourne, it's become a talking point. Why is the far left and far right to use loose political connotations? Why is Melbourne it seemed to be the capital of both extremes? Well, I would say it's because we have a divisive premier such as Dan Andrews. I mean, after he got elected in 2014 as premier, then the Reclaim Australia became active on the streets, and then obviously there's United Patriots Front, and of course we have you could say the final extreme form of nationalism, if you want to call National Socialism nationalism, the National Socialist Network. So they've already banned the display of the Nazi swastika in public. That, of course, doesn't cover tattoos. So Jamel Roberts, who, of course, has a swastika tattoo on his chest, he's still able to go to the beach legally and take his shirt off. It's in the chat. I won in court today. We'll get to your case soon, Monica. It's been busy week in the courts here in Victoria as well. And now remember that if you want to give money to the Unshackled instead of Monica Schmidt, I've put the entropy link into the chat there. So this was Victoria Police at around 10 a.m. Literally pushing the National Socialist Network off the steps of Parliament. Now, I wonder if Victoria Police, when they go through, they obviously have their own camera people there to scour through afterwards and to use as evidence. So Victoria Police made 2 arrests on the day. I wonder if they'll use anything from that scuffle to try and charge any of the National Socialist Network members. Now, also, I not only was I there, I was incognito, so I wasn't recognized by either the Antifa Socialist or by the National Socialist Network. Though Margot Huss was also there, she just went as her normal self. She thought she could blend in as an Asian woman, even though all Asian women don't look the same. But she was spotted, Marg, by the NSN members. This is what they put up on their social media, on their own social media from their footage that they took. And now Marg wrote her own article summary. She called it Melbourne's greatest commie Nazi sideshow spectacle. She called it that the Greatest Showman meeting Melbourne's Romper Stomper. Obviously, the Romper Stomper miniseries on Stan was, what is it, based on Patriot Blue versus Antifa. And Marg, in her article, she was quite disparaging of the NSN lad. She said Hitler would be rolling in his grave. It was such a pitiful display of masked, unusually short, skinny, rather effeminate looking prosciutto men who claim to be of superior white Aryan stock. I know that a paleoconservative has here, did anyone see Thomas Sewell and Avi interview? I know that Avi made a similar comment to Thomas Sewell. They had a chat, a discussion in Fitzroy Gardens. Thomas Sewell uploaded the full unfiltered their version of the interview last night, and yeah, Avi said the same thing. Oh, your outfits look a bit gay, and Tom said how homoerotic of you. It goes for about 17 minutes. The full exchange. And it's very entertaining because obviously both Avi and Tom, they are known for losing their temper. So they try to bait each other. So they're obviously, Tom calls Avi a subversive Jewish foreign agent. And Avi says you and Antifa are quite similar. And after the interview, they chant expose Jewish power. And Avi said, well, at least you had a discussion with me, which is not what the Antifa Socialist did when they saw Avi. In fact, Avi was coward hit by a masked Antifa.
You fucking call yourself a Nazi, you fuck off! You fuck off! Get back! You get back! Fuck off! You fucking call yourself a Nazi! Fuck off! You.
And now Avi always has, when he's in these doing these public events, he has his bodyguard there, Daniel Jones, who got a compensation payout from Victoria Police when he was thrown to the ground, but of course, no apology. And also you saw hit there Avi's cameraman, Benji, who is a proud boy of Hong Kong descent. So Benji met both Avi and the Proud Boys at a Free Hong Kong rally when the Socialist Alternative tried to say to him, oh, don't talk to Avi, he's far right. And Benji gave them a lesson how a communist China is what the socialists, the type of society they actually want. And White Rose Society, they released on Saturday evening, for some reason it leaked online, Benji's Proud Boy vetting video. And that footage there was not, of course, Avi's, but it was Rukshan's there. Rukshan went alone. He doesn't have any protection like Avi has, even though he's just a bigger target as Avi. Now, even though it's impossible for Rukshan, Avi, or Benji to be Nazis, that doesn't stop Antifa treating with them with the same violence, aggression that they attempt to give to Thomas Sewell and the NSN lads. I've been told that there's a super chat on Entropy. It hasn't come up on my end here. So I've been Entropy has been going up and down. I can't access the super chat the super chat here. So whoever sent it, can they actually just repost it in the YouTube chat so I can still read it out for you? Oh, wait, it showed up here. So we might get on to Monica Schmidt's. Well, it was a victory. So she'd promoted her big day in the Melbourne Magistrates Court. So she'd had the incitement charges dropped against her, and so she was contesting two COVID fines for breaching COVID regulations. She was found guilty of them, but no conviction and no fine. Does that mean that she doesn't have to actually pay the $652 fine or whatever ridiculous amount of ridiculous amount of the fines were? So she didn't. She didn't get them overturned, the fines, but there was no conviction, and she didn't have to pay actually any money. And so this is a vlog on the Reignite Democracy Australia website, which she says that she may have to shut down RDA. She said it's going bankrupt. She suggested maybe leaving some money to RDA in your will. And now in the courtroom today, she noticed that Daniel Andrews was watching, or at least a person who said they were Daniel Andrews. And then there was another account, Morgan C. Jonas's 2-inch, which is what is contained in Monica's super chat. So this is $3 from Monica Schmidt. Dan Andrews watched my court case today that I won, and I did it without the help of Micropenis Morgan. Donate to RDA, so go on another long overseas vacation. Though Monica says she's funding it herself because she sold an investment property from when she was in real estate, and so she's self-funding it. But she says it's not a holiday; she's going to network as well. Bert Newton was there as well, because one of the things that's lasted through the COVID era is that you can log on to watch a court in session remotely. Now, some magistrates, judges are more strict than others. If there's weird names on the screen, they say, right, you have to put your faces on the screen. But yes, apparently, it was that just as the saying goes, just went through to the keeper there. I'm not sure if I don't know if the magistrate demanded that they show their faces on there. Obviously, Monica's various enemies were also watching. They have nicknamed her Moronica Shit. Now, obviously, going back to that super chat, she was engaged to Morgan C. Jonas in 2021, but the engagement, for unknown reasons, it's not really about any of our business. They called off their engagement, went their separate ways. Morgan C. Jonas founded the Freedom Party of Victoria, which he is still the leader of. It won no seats at the Victorian state election, but he's first persevering with that. He does his MCJ report, though he's not really active on social media much. In fact, he didn't even wish Monica good luck today on our case there, even though he greeted her when she was released from prison. Hadron Anti-Bullying says Margot joined Antifa. Paleoconservative Australian is asking, where is Lady of Shalott and Marg? I haven't seen Lady of Shalott tonight. I know that Dawn Browning is here as well. P. Cosiman as well. We've got heaps of regulars here tonight as well. Now, one National Socialist Network member, in fact, I think he was in 2021, he was actually called the leader of NSN, Jacob Hershnet. He's not allowed to associate with anyone from the National Socialist Network or European Australia movement, because he is a witness in Thomas Sewell's armed robbery case. You remember the Cathedral Rangers, where they went on a camping trip and followed by Antifa. There was a confrontation allegedly between some masked people and Antifa in their cars there. So Thomas Sewell spent months in prison, in basically in solitary confinement, before he was released on bail. Remember, he wasn't imprisoned for the assault on the Channel 9 security guard. Jacob Pershner, he was in court last week for another stickering graffiti offense. He has been charged with, over the years, various because of his National Socialist pro-white stickering. So this was written in the Herald Sun by, I hadn't heard of this, their latest court thought, Carly Douglas. So for some reason, the Herald Sun, they employ young female thought court reporters. It's quite strange. Aren't men allowed to be court reporters at the Herald Sun? And so she says that neo-Nazi Jacob Pershner has told the court the Andrews government is suppressing his constitutional right by banning the display of swastikas. He says that he argued his actions in plastering Nazi swastikas around a public space was justified, expressing a political opinion. I have the right to disseminate my views. The Constitution says people have the right to political expression, but Magistrate Donna Bakos questioned Mr. Pershner's justification. You're lucky you haven't been charged with more serious offences. You cannot go around displaying symbols which are contrary to the law. I'm not going to get into a history lesson. So he's fighting 3 charges, including marking graffiti on property without consent, posting a bill without consent, and possessing a graffiti implement. Police allegedly plastered Nazi swastikas around Melbourne in July last year. Now, it was legal in July last year. The ban didn't come into effect until December last year, and they blurred Jacob's face for some reason. He doesn't have a swastika tattoo on his face. I guess they just didn't want to give him show his face for some reason, which is weird, because aren't they saying that all these Nazis should be unmasked, yet they pixelate him here? The contradictions are endless here. Now, obviously, we had it was actually the Liberal opposition that spearheaded the banning of the public display of the swastika, which, as I mentioned, came into effect at the end of last year. And the embattled Liberal opposition leadership put out a statement on Saturday night on the neo-Nazi protest. John Pizzuto, the Liberal state leader for now, and his deputy David Southwick, who is the member for Caulfield, which takes in a lot of the Jewish suburbs in Melbourne. Today, neo-Nazis have again protested on the steps of the Victorian Parliament. The Victorian Liberals and Nationals condemn neo-Nazi thugs and their toxic bigotry and hate. Australia has a proud history of orderly immigration program where people from all backgrounds come together in a shared liberal democratic values. This sort of behaviour is completely unacceptable and against the values of an inclusive, tolerant, and multicultural society. Victoria Police are once again dealing with a deplorable situation of inexcusable behaviour. We thank these officers for keeping Victorians safe. We renew our offer to work with the state government on banning the Nazi salute and ensuring Victoria Police have the powers, resources, and training to stamp out these shocking acts of hate. And Victoria Police released their own statement condemning the display of anti-Semitism, saying that everyone has the right to feel safe in our inclusive community. And Neil Mitchell with 3AW interviewed a Northwest Metro commander who seemed to like when he was saying why they were allowed to protest. Well, he says, oh, well, there's free speech, free expression. He described like it was, sadly, we have those things. Notice in that statement that in the Liberal statement and also the Victoria Police statement, they didn't condemn the hate for far left communists, because remember that the ideology of communism killed over 100 million people in the 20th century. It was about the Nazis in total. Nazism was responsible for around 15 million deaths. Obviously, 6 million of those Jews as were of Jewish ethnicity and religion there. That was the same in the mainstream media, condemning the neo-Nazis, but in fact platformed the socialist communists. In fact, called them anti-racist advocates. Which basically, well, the Liberal Party of Victoria would say they're anti-racist activists there. I mean, they said they support multiculturalism, and what is it? They described that orderly immigration is good. Is orderly immigration just how many the governments decide to order into the country, no matter how much that changes or dislocates the country? We have Lady of Charlotte here. A few people were asking where you were. Great to see you. Now, the reason why the National Socialist Network and Thomas Sewell felt emboldened that they felt justified in organizing a snap protest is because, as I explained on last week's show, they believe they are the sole group responsible for getting all of the drag queen story time events aimed at children cancelled at libraries around Victoria. There is still one which is at present still going ahead on Ida Hobbit Day, which is this Wednesday. So this has been going around on Telegram and Facebook. So this is by Frock Hudson is the name of the drag queen. Child grooming event in Eltham, Victoria, May 17 at the Eltham Library, Panther Place, Eltham, Victoria. And you can see that's just one of the disgusting photos of Frock Hudson there with his hand on another man's penis in what looks like public bushland there. Now, Frock Hudson has frequented the city of Bendigo many times. And so the Bendigo faithful, they're aware that Frog Hudson has done these various all ages events for years, and actually sent me a whole bunch of other disgusting photos that Frog Hudson has posed for. Now, the Monash Council event, the statement by the council CEO and by Josh Fergus, the Greens Council, also held the Socialist Alternative CAF are responsible for the cancellation. They didn't want a Nazis versus Socialists around their library, but another LGBT protection group has popped up, and that is the Rainbow Community Angels. Now, I'm not sure if I've got this. I've got so many different screenshots here. I think it's around here somewhere. That's the problem with having these epic shows that I have now. Oh wait, here we go here. Yeah, so this is from, I think, Friday. Send some love to the Eltham Library. Eltham Library is the only venue offering drag story time in the whole state, or let's hope it's the last. And I have heard, because they are consulting with Victoria Police, it could be moved online. Thankfully, that one good bit of news for the safety of all Victorians, and particularly Victorian women, is that last week the Frankston serial killer Paul Denyer, of course for a while identified as Paula Denyer, was denied parole, thankfully, by the parole board, who said he's not even close because he hasn't admitted guilt or done any rehabilitation programs. He can keep applying for parole, Paul Denyer. I refuse to call him Paula Denyer. Why should we respect the name of respect the pronouns of serial killers when they change their victims' pronouns to was, were? And now, thankfully, Paul Denyer, he wasn't allowed to transition in prison. I noticed that Anne Lesby, PhD, gender studies professor at ACLU University, tweeted, "Many trans women are not willing to reveal their identity until they're facing prison time. This should tell us how dangerous society is for trans folk." Now, Daniel Andrews, he can pass legislation to keep Paul Denyer in prison for life, pass special legislation. I wonder if he was released this week, whether he'd be joining Antifa, the Socialist Alternative, on Saturday, since they do allow lady killers to join their ranks. Now, the Victorian Liberal opposition, who I just mentioned their statement condemning the National Socialist Network rally. It was second time lucky for the leadership team in expelling Moira Deeming from the Liberal Party room. She has told Peter Credlin she is not quitting the Liberal Party. She's still a Liberal Party member. And so the margin for her expulsion was 19-11. This was the same margin. They also punished one of Moira Deeming's allies, Renee Heath, removed her as party room secretary. You'll remember Renee Heath. Nick McKenzie of 60 Minutes did a hit piece on her father's church, described her father as sick for setting up his other daughter to marry a gay man. So on the Thursday afternoon, Moira, she sent a concerns notice to John Prosciutto, demanding that he call off Friday's meeting, issue an apology to her on his website, and pay her legal costs plus compensation. Moira decided to boycott the party room meeting, even though she was permitted to put forth a defense to the expulsion motion. Now, of course, I've talked about what happened at the Let Women Speak event by Kelly J. Keane back in March. Remember, this is all a mess of John Prosciutto's own making. He decided that he would get on his high moral horse and say that Moira, Kelly, because she was with Kelly J. Keane, that she needed to be expelled. Because remember, in that dossier, he alleged that Kelly J. Keane was associated with far right-wing extremist groups, including neo-Nazis, which Kelly J. Keane, she also threatened to sue John Prosciutto as well. She told Avi Yemini, "I hope you have your lawyers ready." It was based on, you'll remember, that Kelly J. Keane had spoken to somebody who'd interviewed Richard Spencer, Mark Collette, and David Duke. So it's basically 6 degrees of guilt by association. So I'll bring up the list of who voted. So in red the members of the Liberal Party room who voted for Moira's expulsion. The numbers there are the margin of what they won their seats by. And now there are a few surprises here. So the IPA-aligned Jess Wilson and Evan Mulholland, supposedly they support free speech, voted for Moira's expulsion. And also Anne-Marie Hermans, she was the Liberal candidate for Cranbourne in 2018, elected to the upper house this election. She was an anti-safe schools candidate. She's social conservative, but she voted for Moira Deeming's expulsion there. So that was quite bizarre there. And the number 2 candidate on the Western Metro ticket below Moira Deeming, Trong Lee, voted for the expulsion of his running mate, and also he is now the party secretary as well. So the whole thing is incredibly sad. Moira is well, first of all, she's a lovely, decent person. She's a loving mother, devoted wife, and she gave up her career as a teacher because she didn't want to teach safe schools filth. She is also a pro-lifer as well, and it was so abhorrent of John Pesciuto well, he eventually got his way on the second attempt to expel her from the party room, just because, unbeknownst to her, the NSN showed up at the Let Women Speak rally. And here's Margot, who's turned up as well. We played the footage, Margot, of Tom and the NSN who they spotted you from the crowd there, and they set their anyway. And now on the Friday when Moira Deeming was expelled from the Liberal Party room, the sole state Liberal government in Australia, in Tasmania, was plunged into minority with the Liberal Bass member Lara Alexandra and Lions member John Tucker resigning over the $715 million Macquarie Point stadium, which, of course, I've gone through that previously. It's not needed when there's a perfectly good test stadium at Bellerive Oval, Blundstone Arena, even though it is on the non-city side of the Derwent River. And also, Lara Alexander said that she wasn't comfortable with Jeremy Rockcliffe supporting the Aboriginal voice referendum as well. And on Saturday, there was a huge anti-stadium rally where Jackie Lambie, in her typical, you would say, very aggressive, angry bogan voice, said, "You can stick the stadium right up your bum." I sounded like the Jackie Lambie voice from the Pauline Hanson Please Explain cartoons. Now, of course, it's time for an update on The Voice.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Yes, Pfizer Australia decided that they would be supporting the Voice to Parliament. Now, I'm not sure if I've got it up here. I've got so many things. Here we go. Here, Pfizer Australia supports the Voice to Parliament. We believe the Voice will enable better health outcomes for First Nation communities in Australia and provide a route to help inform policy decisions that impact their lives. Reconciliation helps to address the most significant disparity in Australia's population, the health and well-being of the First Nations people. We respect the conversations around The Voice and encourage people to engage in genuine learning about the past and ensure Australia's well-informed referendum about the proposed constitutional change. To learn more about Pfizer's Reconciliation Action Plan, check our wrap highlights above. I don't think that the voice of Indigenous Australians was listened to when the Northern Territory government forced Pfizer products on Indigenous people against their will. And also, like, if we go back to this this statement here, it says that encourage people to engage in genuine learning about the past, like your past, and also what's been discovered about your products. I mean, again, the hypocrisy here. And now, Warren Mundine, who is head of the Recognise a Better Way No campaign, he announced that he would be merging his group with Jacinta Price's Fair Australia, so there'll be a united No campaign. Now, obviously, we had the federal budget last week. Federal Labor Treasurer Jim Chalmers announced a $4.2 billion surplus, the first in 15 years, the first Labor surplus since 1989. Now, of course, there's been two false surplus dawns. Wayne Swan, of course, announced that there'd be a surplus for 2012-13, which never eventuated. And of course, Scott Morrison and Josh Frydenberg announced there'd be a surplus for 2019-20. In fact, had Back in Black mugs made up. Of course, their pandemic bailouts, massive bailouts to mainly corporations, because they were shutting heaps of businesses down, meant that surplus never materialized. So there's certainly a lot of salt on the Liberal opposition benches. The fact that Labor got a surplus in their first year. Angus Taylor said that a drover's dog could reach a surplus in this year. It's because it's due to soaring commodity prices, which does not just include coal, but iron ore, all of those other things used to that Australia is blessed to have in the ground. And so, well, it's the reason why Western Australia had a budget surplus all throughout the pandemic as well. And now they could have had a larger surplus, but they decided to, well, placate some of their base, which is try and fend off criticism from the Greens. They increased the job seeker allowance by $2.50 a day, increase in rent assistance, and also increase funding for bulk billing for children and concession card holders. They promoted it as a Labor budget. And so even though there's a surplus this year, Jim Chalmers is projecting deficits for the next 4 years, which I think is just lowering expectations, because the Treasury forward estimates actually have the economy shrinking, which I don't think will be the case. And so I think he's sort of flattening the ground for a supply surplus in 2024, which will be the last budget before the election. Lady of Charlotte says bulk billing doctors are disappearing here in Melbourne. My own GP has gone private. Well, that's why the state governments are opening up urgent care clinics, because like Australians don't believe that they should have to pay to go for the doctor. That's just what they believe. So if they can't get a bulk billed doctor, they'll go to the emergency room, which is why the state governments have had these urgent care clinics, which are also bulk billed free as well. So the reason why there's this push to have urgent care clinics and also increase bulk billing is to take pressure off emergency departments. And now, the federal budget wasn't the only spectacle in Canberra. We have the inquiry into the failed prosecution of Bruce Lerman, who is accused of raping former Liberal staffer Brittany Higgins. Now, it was actually the ACT Director of Public Prosecution, Shane Drumgold, who called for this inquiry, but he's been the one who has had the inquiry turned on him. He alleged that there was a political conspiracy to interfere with the case, but then he withdrew it. So he first told the inquiry that he believed that it was so harmful to the coalition that ministers were pressuring the Australian Federal Police not to proceed with the charges. It's coming out in the inquiry that the Australian Federal Police, they did not believe that there was enough evidence to prosecute Bruce Lehrmann. They didn't believe that that obviously we saw during the trial that there were contradictions in Brittany Higgins's evidence, and in fact it was the AFP, they believed that she had sex with another man in that office as well, but both Brittany Higgins and the unnamed other man both deny that there. Shane Drumgold was destroyed by the AFP lawyer and also by Lisa Wilkinson's lawyer for claiming that he told her not to give a Logies speech, when in fact all he just said was don't mention the trial. Now today, it was the Bruce Lehrmann's defense counsel that took the stand today, who said that he was pissed off that Linda Reynolds was accused of coaching defense witnesses. So it's coming forward that it was Shane Drumgold who seemed to have the agenda. He was the least objective one. In fact, when he said that he wasn't going to go for a retrial, that he still praised Brittany Higgins. Now, going over to New Zealand, before we go over to the US, there's been an Instagram scandal with the finance minister, Grant Robertson, who's gay and is also used to be the deputy prime minister. He was busted by Cam Slater of the BFD, which Dewey Du Bois and Stephen Berry write for. He was caught following on Instagram an account called Cute Boys Philippines, which those boys look underage. Now, I know that Southeast Asian men, like 18-year-old Southeast Asian men, they can look like 12-year-old boys, so they could be over 18, but it looks very sus, shady. And the fact that a senior politician is following that account, that is very disturbing. So Grant Robertson quietly unfollowed that account with a few others, but yeah, there was no mainstream media outlet in New Zealand followed up. It was only Cam Slater there. So yes, he seems to have gotten away with that without much scrutiny there. Now, going over to the United States, and now CNN, obviously in a desperate bid to what you'd say, return their ratings, well, they never were that highly rated to begin with, but to give their ratings a much needed boost, because they are number 3 in the ratings, they invited Donald Trump to a town hall. Since he is a presidential candidate for 2024, it was hosted by Caitlin Collins. Now, it was on at 8 p.m. in Tucker Carlson's old time slot. So clearly the CNN management, Chris Liss, the new head of CNN Global, he wants to make the network get the network's ratings around, not make it the Trump derangement syndrome network. He'd already got rid of Don Lemon, Chris Cuomo, and Brian Stelter, but there's obviously still the other two Trump deranged hosts, Jake Tapper and Anderson Cooper, who all had a cry after the town hall. Trump, he absolutely lit the place alight. He should be charged with arson for torching the CNN network. So it got off to a fight when obviously he wasn't afraid to take on Caitlin Collins in the regime. He resurrected his nasty insult.
I think is why you held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return them.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's the answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to, you're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
And she asked Trump about Ukraine. In fact, asked him the exact same question 3 times on who he wants to win the war in Ukraine.
Be absolutely
Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people and breaking down this country. Now,
you said you don't think in terms of winning and losing. Mr. President, can I just follow up on that because that's a really important statement that you just made there. Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying. Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop dying. And I'll have that done. I'll have that done in 24 hours. I'll have it done. You need the power of the presidency to do it.
That's the old Trump saying, like, "Oh, get this war ended in 24 hours." You know, get them all. Because remember, that's what he promoted when he was running for president. I can do deals in Congress. I'm a deal maker. Now, of course, Caitlin Collins resurrected January 6th, and Trump, he came extremely well prepared with printed out old tweets of his.
Back to what happened on that day.
You said you weren't. Say that.
He has testified that, Mr. President.
He did not say that.
But you said you weren't very involved that day. You did tell your supporters to come to Washington. You tweeted about it, about that speech that happened on the rally.
Am I allowed to say that?
When they went to the Capitol and they were breaking into the Capitol, smashing windows, injuring police officers, why did it take you 3 hours to tell them to go home?
I don't believe it did. Oh, let me pull it out. I have to pull it out. So if you look at, on January 5th, the day before, I said, please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful. Stay peaceful. This was the day before, and this was in the form of Twitter. Now use Truth Social. I think it's far superior, okay? I hope everybody's on Truth. If you look January 6th, this is before 2:30. I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. This is right after, as it was happening. But what happened is they took it down. I don't know why. I think they took it down because it was so good. They didn't like it being up there. I am asking, and we didn't know until I got it back, because now I have 90 million people waiting for me to go back, but I'm on Truth and I'm staying on Truth. Listen, I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. No violation. We want no violation. We want no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you. That was at 2:30. That was very early.
Mr. President, I looked at the same timeline that you did.
No, I know, but you didn't report that. You know why? Because it was taken down.
We did report it. I was reporting that
thing. It was taken down and it wasn't.
But when it was...
She disputes the actual tweet log there. That's quite incredible. Now, Trump, he also during the CNN town hall, he did pay tribute to the person that was killed on January 6th.
In 3 hours, over 140 officers were injured that day.
And a person named Ashley Babbitt was killed.
Yes.
You know what? She was killed, and she shouldn't have been killed. And that thug that killed her, there was no reason to shoot her. At blank range, cold blank range, they shot her, and she was a good person. She was a patriot. There was no reason. There was no reason, and he went on television to brag about the fact that he killed her.
The officer was not bragging about the fact that he killed her, but
bragging.
one person who was at the...
Now, early in the week, Trump had been found liable in a civil case. A jury found that he had sexually abused and defamed author E. Jean Carroll in a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room in the 1990s. So this was not a criminal case, which has beyond all reasonable doubt. It is a civil case, so balance of probabilities, and it's a New York jury which hates Trump. And so Trump was asked about this because he was also ordered to pay E. Jean Carroll $5 million in damages for defamation for denying that he had an encounter with her.
A Manhattan jury found that you sexually abused the writer E. Jean Carroll and defamed her. You've denied this. But what do you say to voters who say it disqualifies you from being president?
Well, there aren't too many of them because my poll numbers just came out and they went up. Okay. I think I'm the only person in history who had a charge like that. And usually you leave office, you say, I'm sorry, but I'm going to back home. I'm back home to my family and everything. I'm going to be resigned. My poll numbers went up, and they went up with the other fake charge, too. Because what's happening is they're doing this for election interference. This woman, I don't know her. I never met her. I have no idea who she is. I had a picture taken years ago with her and her husband, nice guy, John Johnson. He was a newscaster, very nice man. She called him an ape. Happens to be African-American. Called him an ape. The judge wouldn't allow us to put that in. Her dog, or her cat, was named Vagina. The judge wouldn't allow to put that in. All of these things. But with her, they can put in anything. Access.
Her pussy was called Vagina. I mean, that's another classic Trump line to mention. Obviously, the other facts that the mainstream media don't report, and obviously wasn't allowed in the civil trial. Now, E. Jean Carroll, she's now threatening to sue Trump again for these what she called vile comments during CNN town hall. Now, did you actually know that E. Jean Carroll is not the first woman that Trump is accused of sexually molesting in a department store? In fact, there was one that was caught on camera way back in the year 2000. I wonder if there'll be a suit put forth soon by Miss Ruth Giuliani.
You know, you're really beautiful. And a woman that looks like that has to have her own special scent.
Oh, thank you. Maybe you could tell me what you think of this scent.
I like that.
This may be the best of all. Oh, you dirty boy, you! Oh! Donald, I thought you were a gentleman.
You can't say I didn't try. Mayor Giuliani, he's given away over $2 billion in corporate.
And now, a fun fact for that, that was a sketch that Trump and Giuliani did for a charity ball in 2000. Both men in that sketch were wearing wigs. Now, obviously, it's been discussed in the chat. Donald Trump, when he was president, he often made terrible appointments to his administration. There's a lot of mention of Jared Kushner, his son-in-law. Obviously, one of the most horrendous appointments he made was neocon John Bolton as his national security advisor. And there's been a lot of people wondering, because a lot of people have compared Donald Trump shaking up politics to how Elon Musk has shaken up the tech social media world with his purchase of Twitter. Twitter is easily much more fun now than it was a couple of years ago. Elon Musk released the Twitter files, which basically showed that Twitter had become a new Operation Mockingbird with government propaganda feeding through collaboration between the FBI, the State Department, and Twitter executives. But there are a lot of people who are alarmed, though, that Elon Musk has decided to appoint as the new CEO of Twitter, Linda Yaccarino, who is the former Comcast advertising executive. Elon Musk, he put out a tweet that said, "I'm excited to welcome Linda Yaccarino as the new CEO of Twitter. Linda will focus primarily on business operations while I focus on product design and new technology. Looking forward to working with Linda to transform this platform into X, the Everything app." And there have been loads of clips from her past. She was a regular attendee at the World Economic Forum. This is what Linda said about what she blamed. She blamed new technology for the rise in so-called fake news.
I think the more complicated issue when it comes to fake news is that the younger generation really doesn't experience or consume news with the same filters that what I would call traditional news or older folks, maybe some of us up on this panel, were once raised, whether you had a news reporter, a news presenter that you trusted and that you received your news from. Those largely don't exist anymore. So as a company like NBC Universal that has one of the largest news footprints in the world, and certainly the largest news footprint in the US, you have to constantly be looking at your news organization and your filters for disseminating and really taking that responsibility of leadership very seriously. But how do you educate a younger generation about news literacy? I do a lot of talks about to younger folks, be careful what you share. Where are you getting it from, right? So I think that, there's a big spectrum to fake news. It's what are you disseminating? What are you sending out? What's catching on with consumers? Because you'll receive a video and you're there today sitting, is this real or not? What organization did this get published from? But the younger generation does not differentiate. Look, keep it. They're used to seeing, someone's, phone cam on site somewhere telling them what's going on, and they take that as real news. So real news and education and discipline is very, very important. Not to mention in the spectrum is, all the social and technology platforms experiencing a coming of age and their responsibility about disseminating or being a platform for disseminating news.
And now, when clips like that surfaced, Elon Musk, obviously, there was a lot of angry people in his replies saying, "Hang on, I thought you said that Twitter was going to be free speech." Now, this is Billboard Chris. He's a Canadian activist who's against transitioning children. So he goes with billboards stating biological reality. So Billboard Chris said, during her interview with you, she said she was most excited about your initiative to limit reach of tweets which are deemed hateful, freedom of speech, not freedom of reach. In fact, that was her main selling point to the advertising execs in the audience, as she kept coming back to. Elon Musk replied, I hear your concerns, but don't judge me too early. I'm adamant about defending free speech, even if it means losing money. Though obviously Elon Musk would like to make money off Twitter, and so clearly her appointment is so that there can be they can get some decent advertisers to Twitter. But obviously Elon Musk, one of the big things that he's rolled out during his time owning Twitter is Twitter Blue, the subscription service. So your reach does increase if you're a Twitter Blue verified user. It's $19 Australian dollars a month, and it's $195 for the year. I'm sort of thinking about taking out Twitter Blue myself. Let me know in the comments. I am willing to give her a go. I mean, the thing is that all the people who said, all the lefties that said that they were going to quit Twitter and go over to Mastodon, they claim that Elon Musk was going to destroy Twitter. That hasn't happened. They've all stayed on Twitter. Now, we had on expire on Thursday at I think it was Friday. Yeah, it expired Friday at 11:59 p.m. The Title 42, which was brought in by the Trump administration during the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, which allowed for the immediate expulsion of illegal immigrants from the southern border because they could be carrying a communicable disease. It was kept by the Biden administration for until now. So over 2 years. And so because this border control policy, isn't it interesting how that COVID is a perfect example that you can stop illegal immigration, illegal border crossings, that magically border enforcement, it is almost foolproof overnight. It's just incredible how it works. It's almost like before COVID, that illegal immigration, it could be prevented. There was just not the political will there. And so the migrant caravans, the surges have begun from Mexico to the US border. In fact, they're not coming from Mexico. These are not Mexicans. A lot of them are Venezuelans, that communist shithole, which the communists have ruined over 25 years. This is some footage of them crossing a river to get into Texas. Now, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, how come Mexico is allowing them through?" Well, if Mexico can get them out of their country, but the thing is, though, Mexico is not as bad as a lot of us were led to believe. In fact, a lot of Americans have moved to Mexico, and a lot of Australians as well, because it is freer there. The government, ironically, because a lot of government and law enforcement is beholden to the cartels, they don't do much oppression of the actual citizens like United States government does, and there's less of a welfare state there, which is why the illegal migrants go through Mexico to the United States. So if you wanted a more freer place, there's nothing wrong with staying in Mexico. In fact, the Anarcho Plaza is in Mexico every year, and Max Egan is there as well. And obviously, like I've said this before, I mean, there's not much different between organized crime and government. So that's why Mexico is not as bad as not as bad as we're all led to believe. And governments, of course, are just as bigger drug dealer medicators of the population as cartels as well. Conservative Australian Mexico murder rate is off the chart as well. Well, United States cities aren't that safe either. In fact, when I brought you the story last week of the ex-Marine Daniel Penny, he has now been charged with manslaughter by the Manhattan District Attorney, Fat Alvin Bragg. Obviously, he did the chokehold on the homeless man who'd been arrested around 40 times, Jordan Neely, and was behaving aggressively. He tried the release, but he passed away, Jordan Neely. Crowdfunding for his legal fees have been charged with second-degree manslaughter, have surpassed $1 million on Give, Send, Go. And now it's Fat Alvin Bragg charging him with second-degree manslaughter. Like, he didn't go for the ridiculous murder charge that AOC was demanding. I think district attorneys, they've learned a lot of, even the deranged leftist ones have learnt from the Kyle Rittenhouse trial that charging someone with murder when it's clearly self-defense or trying to prevent violence is a complete waste of legal resources, and also potentially putting an innocent person in prison. Kyle Rittenhouse found not guilty, acted in self-defense. So we shall see how this goes. Now, while all these migrants were crossing the border, Joe Biden went back to his home in Delaware, but he also was at a graduation ceremony at primarily black. It's a primarily black university, Howard University, and this is what he said.
The oldest, most sinister forces may believe they'll determine America's future, but they are wrong. We will determine America's future.
And now Biden there, he's dressed like he's in Klan robes. That's what obviously it's an academic robe, but it looks like a KKK robe there. Alrighty, that brings us to the end for another epic Tim's News explosion. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you check out the compilation that was just released on the Unshackled's video channels from Saturday's NSN Stop Immigration rally. This Saturday, the Unshackled will be at the We Are Ready Freedom Lovers event. So this is there's lots of these happening around the world. Hey globalists, you overplayed your hands. We see you. We know your plans. Guess what? We are ready. So there is one on May the 20th, 12 p.m. at Frankston Foreshore. I think that's being organized by My Place Frankston. All freedom lovers, groups, and organizations show up in unity to send a clear message. We are many. We are united. We are ready. So the website is We Are Ready World. So I'll be at the Frankston one, since it's my local one. I went to the My Place Christmas party. It's such a vibrant freedom community. It's truly incredible there. So I'm looking forward to meeting them all again. And also coming up is Nick Patterson's trial, accused of assaulting Victoria police officers when they went to attack his friend during an anti-lockdown protest. His 15-day trial begins Thursday, June the 1st. I'll try to get to a few days of that. It's at the County Court, 250 Williams Street, Melbourne. You can go to his channel, t.me Fight Corrupt Police. Nick Patterson had his other charge of, I think it was resisting arrest at the first anti-lockdown protest that was thrown out because police didn't file the right paperwork. They mucked that up in their, I guess, haste to try and make a charge on Nick there. So let's hope that he can beat this charge as well. Obviously, Monica had her victory today. Thank you all for watching again. Remember, if you don't want to send through a super chat, you can support the work of the Unshackled by taking out a premium membership. So that is bronze, $5 per month, silver, $10 per month, gold, $25 per month, and platinum, $50 per month. And make sure you keep checking out the unshackled.net for it has our Unshackled Productions archive and also our latest articles as well. So thank you all for watching once again. Stay safe, stay sane, stay free, stay warm, stay happy, and also just try and keep on the bright side of things as well. I mean, we try to put on an entertaining show here at Tim's News Explosion, not to keep it all glum and bad. So thank you all for watching again. There'll be a report from Tiger Mountain again with Richard Wollstonecroft later in the week. And of course, stay tuned for our highlights for We Are Ready next Saturday as well. Good night, everybody.
Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.